Okay, so here we are at the Tuesday, September 8th council meeting. My apologies to all public and others that waited as we went through the executive session and an ABC hearing. So Margot, please take it away.
Okay, for the benefit of the public, I will take roll call again. Councilwoman Cotton?
Tawana, you're muted.
Here.
Councilman Elms?
Present.
Councilwoman Foster? We expect her. Councilman Iannicone?
Here.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Here.
Councilman Silva? Not yet. And Council President Armington?
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum. Let's see, before we get started, would you like to do a moment of silence, please?
Yes, let's do a moment of silence. And let's do the Pledge of Allegiance again, I guess.
Council President,
Yes, sir.
before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, can I just step in for a second?
Sure.
I just want to offer the administration and the citizens of Morristown their condolences to Bob Iannicone and his family on the loss of his dad. I had the pleasure of serving with him on the Water Authority for a number of years. He's an amazing guy. He was mayor for 17 years in Hanover Township. And I know Hanover is going to really miss his knowledge and his of Hanover Township, because people still pick his brain for all the different things. And I don't even know if Bob's on. He might not even be on.
Yes, he is.
Bob, my heart felt sorry for your dad's loss, for your loss of your dad. He was a great guy to work with on the Water Authority, and I know how much he meant to you and how strong of a leader he was in Hanover Township. So on behalf of Jillian, myself, my family, and the citizens of Morristown, we're really sorry.
Thanks, Mayor.
Sorry for your loss, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Set for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Before we move on to the consent agenda, I just want to remind everyone that public comment during the public hearing portion of the meeting will be moderated through the Zoom app. At the appropriate time, members of the public wishing to speak should indicate so by raising his or her hand in the app. You will find the raise your hand icon at the bottom left side of your screen. When it's your turn, the moderator will send a signal through the app and ask that you unmute yourself so that you may be heard. I also want to announce that the old business discussion of the noise ordinance has been rescheduled to the September 22nd agenda. I also would like to ask for a motion to add a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Morristown and the County of Morris authorizing settlement of the tax appeals entitled Anish Parikh and Sarah De Parikh versus Town of Morristown, docket number 010128-2020, which was discussed in executive session this evening. To add it to the agenda as resolution R-141 2020.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
There are 3 items on the consent agenda this evening. If any member of council would like to pull one or more for separate consideration, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Armington?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, at this time, open up the floor for a public hearing on any matter. Again, please raise your hand in the app to indicate that you would like to speak. Kindly state your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less.
Council President, can I suggest we take a pause for a few minutes? I don't see any members of the public, and I'm
I
not.
think there's an issue because I just received a text message from Robert Williams, who's representing somebody on one of the resolutions and saying he can't get in, saying something about a host has a second meeting going on or like,
Okay, so let me explain what happened. Our council meeting started late. Our ABC hearing was still going on. So when somebody tried to log into the council meeting at 7:30, they got a message that they couldn't join because we were in another Zoom session. There are members of the public who are in attendance now. So people should be available, should be able to log in now. But of course, we started the meeting a lot later than was scheduled.
Can we take a,
Jillian, I've got a couple of texts here saying people still can't get in.
I suggest we take a 5-minute break.
Okay. I'm going to pause the meeting, the recording anyway. All right, we're re-recording, Councilman.
Thank you. Sorry, members of the public, for the technical difficulties we're having. Hopefully everyone is able to participate. We have gotten through the consent agenda, which is approved, the moment of silence, pledge allegiance, and we are at the public hearing portion. So if any member of the public would like to raise their hand and call in.
Councilman, there's one hand raised.
Thank you.
Mr. Sudol?
Hi, yes, this is Peter. I just spoke to you about the meeting. I'm glad I was able to join in here. How long do I have, just real quick, just so I know how to squeeze all
5 minutes, Mr.
5 minutes. Okay, I'll do my best here. So I'm referring to the chicken ordinances that we've been discussing here. And I'll start by just talking about this past weekend, what we did here at the house. My wife made a big loaf.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Sudol. If you could please just provide your address.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. It's 16 Catherine Lane.
Thank you.
Yep. I'm sorry. So we made some homemade soap that'll last us a year. I made a big pot of sauce from my garden tomatoes and herbs and some chili from our peppers. And one of our chickens finally started laying eggs this week. So on our tiny little piece of land, we're trying to make the best of what we have. And we should be allowed to continue to do so without overly restrictive and unreasonable laws getting in the way. I feel that these laws were put in place during a time when the government was trying to make commercial farms thrive by making it extremely difficult for the majority of people to raise their own food. Rewind 100 years ago, and the government actually was encouraging every family that could to raise a few hens to provide for their family, particularly in times of economic stress and war. And somehow we've moved backwards since then. When a law like that is put in place that immediately restricts most of the town while allowing only a select few who can afford a large enough property to do so, I feel it's completely biased and discriminatory. The handful of people in town who have those properties are most likely not the people who would be raising chickens. So if we live in an area like Morristown and many other towns across the state that are densely populated, one must assume that you will hear day-to-day sounds coming from everywhere. Noises from lawnmowers, planes, construction, etc. are all part of our daily lives. I was talking to my neighbor across the street the other day, and we were talking about a parrot that lives somewhere on the block behind him that I can hear from my backyard. It's at least 200 feet away. And I was joking that it was only a matter of time before someone called the police and blamed my chickens from hearing the parrot. So we got to be talking about these noises and how there has to be a buffer zone of what's tolerable and expected versus out of control and an actual nuisance. People are expected to be courteous to their neighbors, and when they aren't, perhaps the authorities must get involved if they can't work it out themselves first. So to put some people's concerns about chickens in perspective, let's talk about some numbers. As far as public safety is concerned, the U.S. population is about 328 million. 4.5 million people a year are bitten by dogs, which means 1 in 74 people are going to be bitten by a dog, 800,000 of which require medical attention. Half of those bites are children who are far more likely to be severely injured. In 2010, the CDC estimated 1 in 20,000 eggs might be internally infected with salmonella, which you still might not get sick from depending on how you cook the egg. So that means an American might get one bad egg from a commercial or backyard egg over the course of 84 years. So if the town trusts its residents to own dogs, which can literally kill someone, I think it's safe to assume you can trust your residents to own chickens. noise. I'm going to try to speed this up here. Human speech is about 70 decibels. Dog bark is average of 90 decibels, with some reaching 100 and over. A hen is somewhere between 60 and 70 decibels, which is right about human speech. So for every 10 decibels more a sound makes, we perceive it as twice as loud.
I think we lost you, Mr. Sudol.
Oh, am I still here? Do you have me here? Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear him.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm sorry. So for every 10 decibels more a sound makes, we perceive it as twice as loud. So a dog bark will be at least 4 times louder than a hen could ever be, and a dog's bark will last substantially longer if it's left unchecked. I'm going to quite quickly finish up here. So I don't know if anybody was aware of this, and I wasn't until the other day. So if the eggs you buy at a store, a farmer has up to 30 days to put the egg in the carton, and then has another 30 days to sell that carton. So there's a stamp that tells you the expiration date, and there's a 3-digit number, and that tells you the day of the year that the carton was packed on, but you have no idea when the eggs are actually laid. So you could be potentially buying an egg that's over 60 days old. So an unwashed backyard egg will last at least a month on my counter and way longer if refrigerated. They have less cholesterol, less saturated fat, more vitamins, way better for you. Anyway, so I've spoken to people all across the state that are in various stages of doing exactly what I'm trying to do here. And I recently spoke to the head of the Sustainable Monroe Project, who is also the chairman of their local chicken advisory board. They are in a 2-year pilot program. They have a population of 35,000 people, and they haven't even had 25 people sign up for this. So if people are concerned that everybody's going to run out and get chickens, that should put something in perspective for you, because there is an initial financial and time commitment involved to make sure it's done right, and that won't be for most people. I was speaking with Mr. Armington about some recent emails back and forth, and he asked me how the towns came up with their distance ordinance and if it had anything to do with lot size. And the distance just comes from a lengthy law review that I can provide you that researched the distance to a house at which noise and odor nuisances were at a minimum. So as long as the resident can comply with that distance, lot size is not factored in. So a lot of towns will say 20 feet to a neighboring human-occupied dwelling with a 5-foot property line setback. Others say 30 and 10. The point is that a properly maintained coop will not be a noise or odor nuisance and poses absolutely no threat to the public health.
Council President, I'm sorry, Mr. Sudol. I just want to let you know that the 5 minutes is up.
Sure. Okay, I'm sorry.
If you want to have a closing statement.
Yeah, I just had like another couple of things. So we're supposed to clean up after our dogs and cats, and of course we're expected to clean up after our chickens. If we strictly adhere to the rules and regulations that are set forth by the town, you will not see any problems. And in the event that they do come up, animal control is there to do their job and make sure that the problem is either fixed or they have to hand out penalties. We actually had animal control officer here today to take some measurements on her own, and she commented that she was very impressed with our setup and the perfect conditions the chickens are kept in. She smelled nothing, she heard nothing. And I just want to say, with a very reasonable and proven update to the distance ordinance, you will do the town a huge service. I've gotten about 150 signatures of people in town who support this, so I'm not alone in my passion. Chickens are the perfect animal. Not only do they provide food for us every day, they provide incredible companionship and stress relief, especially in a year where I lost my job and both my father and father-in-law have had very serious health problems. Thank you for your consideration, and I'm confident we can work out a solution we can all walk away from feeling proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sudol. Any other public comments?
Council President, before we go on, I just want to remind the public, those wishing to speak should indicate so by raising his or her hand and the raise your hand icon at the bottom left of the screen. When it is your turn, the moderator will send a signal through the app and ask that you unmute yourself so that you may be heard.
Thank you, Julie. Arco.
Okay, council members, I don't see any other hands raised at this time.
Okay, we will close the public hearing. Any council responses to public hearing comments?
I would like to make a couple comments for Mr. Sudol. One, I understand your concerns and I sympathize that you've been going through a tough time. I've read many of your emails, all of your emails, and you did state in one of your earlier emails that you read the ordinance, you understood the ordinance, but you moved ahead with obtaining your chickens. And basically, we do have an ordinance. It's on our books. We have to abide by it as it stands right now. I don't have a problem if some of our council members would like to, I will head it up. If they would like to discuss making any changes to that ordinance, I'd be more than happy to look into it for everybody. But at this time, we do have an ordinance that our health department supports. And if we do change it, we have many things to look into. One, if Mr. Sudol has suggested that his chickens are both pets and farm animals. If they're pets, we need to have regulations on the pets, which means vaccines, registration, veterinary visits, other ordinances. If they're farm animals, we just don't allow farm animals in our town. And I don't know that many people want farm animals in a closely, densely populated residential area. But I am open to hearing. Mr. Sudol said he has 150 signatures. If any of those people want to get in touch with the council, our emails are on the website. I'd be more than happy to hear from them. But at this time, I would think that I would just like to suggest we back our health ordinance, our health department, our health ordinance at this time. And moving forward, we could always revisit it if enough people come forward requesting it. However, it's my understanding that not too many people are requesting chickens in a residential area at this time.
Okay, anyone else? Nope. Okay, let's move on to report of the mayor and town officials.
Council President, I'll be brief for the time. A couple of quick things. One, to remind everybody, as of last week, indoor dining has opened up 25%, and gyms, movie theaters, you can go on our website, www.townofmorristown.org, and see all the executive orders that are listed from the governor. But hopefully we're going in the right direction. And I just want to report that we've had several days without a positive COVID-19, which is really good. It means people are doing what they're supposed to be doing with wearing a mask. I see a lot of people downtown wearing masks. I came into town today. There was people walking downtown. A lot of people had masks on. People are keeping their distance when appropriate, and hygiene is key. So just everybody keep doing what they're doing. We're holding it flat here in Morristown, and I'm just proud of all the residents for doing their job. That's it. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Council liaison reports.
The Morristown Partnership will actually be meeting tomorrow morning. They'll be exploring and discussing, as we did in the last ABC hearing, the possible extension of outdoor dining, their input, bring it back to the council. They're also looking at some other special things they might be able to do, such as pop-up retail space, no water retailing, and what they're going to be doing with the special events going forward. We all miss those events, and hopefully we can work out some events happening. Thank you.
The Morristown Parking Authority is considering bids for pay by app for all on-street credit card meters at its September Board of Commissioners meeting. The app will allow customers to pay at a parking meter hands-free. Additionally, the Morristown Parking Authority will conduct hourly system-wide parking counts on September 16th and 17th. All facilities will be counted each hour from the hours of 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Morristown Parking Authority performs these counts quarterly in order to determine current usage. This is necessary to evaluate future ability based on current parking demand. This is even more important now with the pandemic to see how much of the office parking is returning to the downtown. Thank you.
Morris Housing Authority purchased 30 tablets to conduct the remote RAD presentations with the seniors over the next 2 weeks. Questions and answers will be documented. Frequent asked questions uploaded on the website for all residents. It will be done in English, Spanish, and Russian because there are some seniors that speak Russian. That's all.
I have a report from the Shade Tree Commission. The Shade Tree Commissioners are each working on walking the parks to get recommendations for improvements. I know the mayor and Jillian walked the Bud Street Park, and they're looking into some upgrades. So I'm looking forward to meeting with them and hearing what they suggest. We do need park advocates for each of our parks. If anybody lives near parks and they want to get involved and just help us out to keep our parks vibrant and accessible, it's always welcome, and you can contact either me or the Shade Tree Commission if you're interested. One other thing I'd like to cover is we're having extreme vandalism of our trees in Ward 3. Last meeting I reported that we had vandalism at Grant and Bellevue. The trees, there's holes being drilled in the trees and something's being poured into them on the basis of probably trying to ruin the trees and get rid of them. We just recently had photos taken of a tree on Cleveland where somebody peeled the bark off with a saw and hammered copper nails and a copper pipe into the tree, which will kill the tree. It's unacceptable. It's against the law. It's vandalizing town property. If anybody sees it, they should call the police, not the emergency, but the regular 973-538-2200 number, and help us to keep the trees vibrant and alive. If the trees die, they're not coming back and they won't be planted again, and you will have a street that has basically a lot of sunlight and no shade. So hopefully the residents will step up in that neighborhood and put a stop to the vandalism. Thank you.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to report that the Environmental Commission did not have no meeting was held due to technical difficulties. So if anyone was interested in attending a meeting, try next month, the first Tuesday of the month.
Okay. That's it. We'll close that. Move on to regular business.
Okay, there is one ordinance for introduction this evening, ordinance number O-28-2020, an ordinance providing for certain capital improvements at the Morristown Municipal Airport by the town of Morristown in the county of Morris, state of New Jersey, and appropriating $590,000 therefore to finance part of the cost thereof. May I have a motion to introduce, please?
I'll make a motion to introduce.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
No.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Did you say yes, sir?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, ordinance O-28-2020 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after public hearing on September 22nd. We have 4 ordinances for public hearing and adoption. Ordinance number O-24-2020, an ordinance of the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, state of New Jersey, for compensation for management / non-union positions in the town of Morristown, New Jersey, and amending all ordinances concerning such compensation heretofore adopted.
Motion to, public hearing, right? I'll make a motion to
adopt ordinance.
Adopt.
24-2020, sorry.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. At this time, I will open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance number O-24-2020. Be reminded you must raise your hand in the app to indicate that you would like to speak and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less, please.
Council President, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
Any comments or questions from council?
No.
On the adoption of ordinance O-24-2020, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 24-2020 is adopted. Ordinance number O-25-2020, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7, Traffic.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance O-25-2020.
I'll second.
I will open up the floor to the public for comment on ordinance O-25-2020.
Council President, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
Comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-25-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 25-2020 is adopted. Ordinance O-26-2020, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 3, Police Regulations.
I'll make a motion to adopt O-26-2020.
I'll second.
I will open up the public hearing for members of the public wishing to comment on ordinance O-26-2020.
Council President, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing on O-26.
Comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-26-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 26-2020 is adopted. Ordinance O-27-2020, ordinance appropriating $311,000 from the Sewer Capital Improvement Fund for various sewer improvements in and by the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, New Jersey.
I'll make a motion to adopt O-27-2020.
I'll second.
I'll open up the public hearing for any comments or questions on ordinance O-27-2020.
I don't see any hands raised.
I'll close the public hearing.
Any comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-27-2020, Councilman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 27-2020 is adopted. We have 13 resolutions on the agenda for adoption. Are there any that members of council would like to pull for separate consideration?
I'd like to pull 129 through 133.
And I'd like to pull, but they can be considered together, 135 and 136.
135 and 136.
All right.
Okay, so then I would ask for a motion to adopt resolution numbers 134 and 137, 2020 through 141, 2020.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, on the adoption of those ordinances, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone. Councilman Iannacone?
I'm sorry. That was, I think they were pulled initially by Stefan, the 129 through 130.
Oh, I'm sorry, so we're voting on the adoption of
Sorry, yes,
134.
I'm sorry. I was reading something. Yes, sorry.
137 through 141, okay?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-129-2020, resolution authorizing renewal of plenary retail consumption license 14243302916, issued to the Iron Bar LLC, trading as the Iron Bar and Revolution for 2020-2021, subject to conditions.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-129-2020.
I'll second.
Council President?
So there were a number, well, I guess first of all, are there any, have there been any requests to change the conditions from last year?
Yes, this resolution reflects the removal of the condition that limited the closing hour to 11 p.m.
Now that was approved last year to eliminate that closing hour. Is that correct?
No, that followed the litigation.
Oh, that
when we
followed
got the order from the judge.
Okay.
and that was it within this year. So this would have been the first renewal where we took that out.
Okay. And as part of the backup documentation, there were several pages of police records, presumably attributable to the Iron Bar or in association with the Iron Bar. Does the police department, or does is there an opinion that those summonses were attributed to the operation of the liquor license, or rather predominantly to the clientele outside, or irrespective of the licensee's ability to run their establishment?
I was not involved in preparing that report. That's the police. I don't know if Ms. Barrick,
I can address that. Council President, there were no ABC violations against the establishment.
Okay.
If there would have been ABC violations, they would have come to the council, or we would have received notice that the state ABC had filed charges against the establishment. And so all of those violations pertain to activities by patrons in the vicinity of that location, but there were no ABC violations.
And just maybe there's a question for the administration. What was the purpose of providing all that documentation of summonses in the vicinity of the licensee?
Council President, I can respond to that and offer my apologies. Due to some time restraints, I had requested the data and simply distributed the information without sufficient time to call out any ABC violations.
Okay.
I'm giving you too much information as opposed to too little.
And I believe that there's something in the ordinance within Chapter 6 that says that when renewal time comes, the police should provide a report similar to this.
Okay.
That's where the genesis of this is.
It's not a report of the police department. What this was a series of it's not a report from the police department. Could we table this and get a report from the police, please?
Sir, I can probably get a report, but I don't know about tabling.
I guess the question is if there were no ABC violations, and are we sure there are no ABC?
The ABC violations would have come to the council because the council sits as the ABC board, so they would adjudicate them.
And so
is the council able to consider the recommendation and or the concerns of the police department when renewing an application like this?
Yes.
Okay, and should we wait for a report from the police?
That's up to the council. I know in the past when we've had reports submitted by the police, the problem is a lot of times they can only pull it up by the address, not based on the actual location. So similar to the way this report shows, that there might be something in front of the Iron Bar, you don't always know if the incident actually stems from the Iron Bar or if it just happens to be somebody is walking through and is in front of there.
It's exactly the clarification I'd like to have from the police department.
Again, I knowing being familiar with the legal rights to oppose or delay an application, they're never going to. We have no basis for saying that a trespassing violation within 100 feet of an establishment is attributable to our drunken condition outside. That's always been the problem. So, has the police department ever actually provided a report other than just a tabulated list of summonses?
But we don't even have that in this instance. I understand the timeliness, but what I'd like to see with these applications going forward is some kind of statement from the police. We should not have to go through documents or make interpretations ourselves. I have a lot of faith in our police department, a lot of faith in our administration that they can review the public safety concerns associated with these licenses and provide us with a recommendation, much like they do with other permits that are submitted for our approval.
Councilman, I will take responsibility for that again.
I don't think it has anything to do with what you provided to us. I'm actually asking for something in the future. I think
Right.
in
The
the future,
police do not have an objection to this application. So is the chief on? You might be able to address your concerns.
I may vote for this because there's a timing issue here. Because what I'm hearing is that this application has to be approved by September 30th. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yes, the current license
So,
expires
Let
then.
me be very, very clear. I'm not going to vote for this application. What I'm asking for is in the future, I think for renewals of liquor licenses, I like to hear an affirmative statement or a statement of concerns from the fire department and from the police department as to whether or not they have any concerns with the renewal of the application. I'm not criticizing anything, Margot, and I do understand the necessity of approving this application because of the time constraint and the time deadline of September 30th. And just another recommendation, I think that we should give ourselves, before any of these renewals going forward in the future, we should give ourselves a little bit more buffer than we're giving ourselves in this instance. So try to get the applications in or the deadlines in sooner so that we have some latitude in the timing of the applications so we're not sitting on top of a deadline.
Okay.
So for the future. So I guess the question is my understanding of the past applications, if the fire department or if any department head has had a problem with a liquor license application, that would be provided as part of the record. Is that correct, Mr. Pawar?
Yes, we would be aware if the police department or the fire department had any objections. What Mr. Iannacone is asking is that there be a report or a statement in the future that accompanies each renewal.
Is that something the administration can help facilitate?
We'll certainly work with the clerk and provide that in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just to interject, if you go for a little further in the packet, beginning on page 101, there are a number of emails directly from those departments saying that there are no issues, no violations, and then I did attach summonses and documents that I did receive. It was just the PD section was a little more convoluted than I would have liked. So going forward, I will certainly take care of that.
Thank you, Margot. All right. Any other questions?
Are we just voting on the R129?
Yes.
Just the iron bar.
Okay.
Call the question, please, Margot.
On the adoption of resolution R-129, 2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-130-2020, resolution authorize renewal of plenary retail consumption license 1424330222015, issued to DeHart Associates LLC, trading as Tajmu, for 2020-2021, subject to conditions.
I'll second.
So, Mr. Pawar, I understand that there is a request by the applicant's attorney to eliminate the paragraph of the conditional elements to change the midnight closure, which was applied to the application when it was first approved, to allow them to close at 2 a.m. with the understanding that the courtyard area would still be closed at 11 o'clock. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Council members, the attorney for Tajmu has his hand raised, and I believe he may want to make a comment.
All right, let's hear from
Jody, can you, before the attorney speaks, can you clarify one more time the change of the condition from the prior approval?
Sure, they're trying to change the provision that right now, the way the condition is written, the licensee agrees that no alcohol shall be served in the outside courtyard area after 11, and the inside remainder of the establishment after 12 on all days of the week. They'd like to change that 12 limitation to 2 a.m. So it only affects the inside of the establishment. The outside will remain capped at the 11 p.m. closing time.
And can somebody remind me whether or not this was also a condition of the planning board approval, if there was a planning board approval?
The planning board approval was only pertaining to the outside, the patio area.
Mm-hmm.
The planning board did not address the inside.
If we're writing an ordinance or looking to write an ordinance that we just discussed, is this something that we should include that with? Because
This wouldn't pertain to that because the ordinance that we had spoken about in the ABC hearing was with respect to outside areas, and this is addressing the inside portion of the building.
Okay.
Remind me also, at the original hearing for this, wasn't this a condition that was actually volunteered by the applicant?
I believe at the time of the hearing, yes.
Okay.
Can I be heard on that?
Sure, take it away, Mr. Williams.
Yes, thank you. It wasn't volunteered by the applicant, but we certainly consented to the 12 o'clock closing on the inside of the premises back in 2016. We're asking you now, as indicated by everyone, that that condition of a 12 a.m. closing inside be removed, and we be able to serve alcoholic beverages consistent with every other operator in Morristown today, which is 2 o'clock. We've gone through quite an ordeal here from our original approval in April of 2016. Took us over a year to get through the planning board. We incurred innumerable problems on the site that we did not anticipate. We were hoping to open the beginning of 2020. And of course, we were prohibited until last Friday as a result of COVID-19. So we're simply asking, as stated, that we be afforded the same opportunity to try to succeed during this very difficult time for all restaurants to stay open on the interior to 2 a.m. And the original resolution that was adopted gave us that opportunity to come in on a yearly basis and ask for modifications of the conditions. So that's what we're hoping that you will do this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Margot, can you confirm that there has been no objections to this application from the police department or other department heads? I don't believe so.
Council President, this location
not
is
been
not
any
open for business.
I'm sorry?
This location is not open for business, so there would not be any
Right.
reports.
Got it. Any comments from council on this?
Yeah, I just wanted clarification. So other restaurants are open until 2 a.m. in town?
Yes.
And they sell liquor until 2 a.m.?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Why was the restriction to 11 p.m. put on them?
With 11 p.m. was an outdoor area restriction, primarily because of noise relative to the apartments across the street. The 12 o'clock restriction was put on because of a concern about an overconcentration of liquor license establishments in that area and the detrimental effect of thousands of people leaving the bars at 1 and 2 a.m. and the effect on the quality of the downtown that resulted as a result of that.
And also the scope and the size of the facility itself and its proximity to not only the residences across the street on DeHart, but also the homes in back of the facility on Community Place.
All right, if there's no more comments, Margot, call the question.
On the adoption of Resolution 130-2020, Councilwoman Cotton.
I'm sorry, before we take the vote, are we voting on the resolution the way it is, or the resolution with the condition?
I would make a motion to adopt the resolution, given the condition as proposed to allow the interior portion to be open until 2 a.m. 7 days a week, with the condition that, well, maintaining the condition that the outdoor area close at 11 p.m.
Sorry, Mr. Armington. There was a lot of noise that was made, and I couldn't really hear you. So just before I give a vote, can you just repeat that about the inside versus the outside?
The motion is to approve the application with the requested condition removed, such that the interior is closed at 2 a.m. and the exterior condition remains intact, that whereas the exterior will continue to be closed at 11 p.m. 7 days a week.
It's a motion to approve 130-2020 as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
No.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-131-2020, resolution authorizing renewal of plenary retail consumption license 1424330330008, issued to DeHart Ventures LLC, trading as the Laundromat, for the 2020-2021 season, subject to conditions.
I'll move resolution R-131-2020.
I'll second.
Councilman?
Any questions from council on this?
Again, Jody, any changes in the conditions?
No, this is the same as what it's been every year.
Call the question.
On the adoption of 131-2020, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution number R-132-2020, a resolution authorizing renewal of plenary retail consumption license 1424330340007, issued to 13 South Group LLC, trading as South Street Social, for 2020-2021, subject to conditions.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-32-2020.
I'll second.
Councilman?
I assume there's no changes to this one.
Nope, this is the same as what it's been.
Council President, Mr. Williams has his hand raised.
Oh, yes, Mr. Williams. You're muted, Mr. Williams.
No, I am not raising my hand on that. If I did, I hit the wrong button.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are no further comments from council, let's call the question.
On the adoption of resolution R-132-2020, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution number R-133-2020, resolution authorizing renewal of retail consumption license 1424330150013, issued to Uncle Baxter LLC, trading as the Horseshoe Tavern, for 2020-2021, subject to conditions.
I'll move resolution R-133-2020.
I'll second.
Just
Council President?
question here, the backup information included some health department issues with a sort of not terribly satisfactory record. Has all that been resolved to the health department's needs?
Yes, they have included it in the statement that all of the issues have since been resolved.
Okay. Any other questions from council? No? Okay, I'll call the question, please.
On the adoption of Resolution 133-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution number R-135-2020, resolution authorizing application for grant funding from the New Jersey Department of Transportation and execution of a grant agreement in connection with runway 13-31 rehabilitation phase 2 at the Morristown Municipal Airport. I have a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt 135-2020, sorry.
I'll second.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes, I continue to vote no on these resolutions pending a more thorough review of our arrangement with the operating entity for the Morristown Municipal Airport.
Please call the question.
On the adoption of Resolution 135-2020, Councilman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
No.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
And then, and that goes hand in hand with Resolution R-136-2020, resolution authorizing application for grant funding from the New Jersey Department of Transportation and execution of a grant agreement to fund the acquisition and installation of a new automated weather observation system at the Morristown Municipal Airport.
I'll move resolution R-136-2020, assuming the comments from the councilman are the same. Please call the question.
I'll second.
On the adoption of R-136-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
No.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That closes the regular business. Old business, there's one item for old business, which is the sufficiency of the existing pay-to-pay regulations. Back in January, we created a committee to take a look at the existing pay-to-play regulations, and Councilwoman Foster and Bob Iannacone and I met a few times before COVID hit. So I wanted to update the council as to what we've identified as possible improvements. We really identified 3 areas where campaign contributions could lead to a public perception of a conflict of interest, though we have no knowledge that any conflict of interest has occurred, only dealing with the public perceptions of conflict of interest. The first area is in regard to redevelopment pay-to-play, where elected officials sometimes receive large campaign contributions from property owners whose properties have been designated as in need of redevelopment, and developers who are developing those properties on behalf of the property owners. The potential for a public conflict of interest occurs or could occur because elected officials are voting on development densities, tax abatements, redevelopment agreement terms, and other things. Other municipalities that have done a lot of public redevelopment, such as Newark and Hoboken, have adopted ordinances that address, that essentially prohibit the development community who are actively involved in development of a site under public redevelopment from providing campaign contributions to elected officials or to applicable parties. There is a model ordinance developed by Citizens Campaign that we could use if we wanted to move it forward. The second area of potential public perception of conflict of interest deals with council members essentially acting as ABC members who receive contributions from liquor license holders and subsequently vote on license decisions. The third area for potential public perception of conflict of interest deals with town employees giving campaign contributions or large campaign contributions to elected officials who either negotiate or vote on approvals of salary increases. We don't have any concepts for ordinances for the final two areas. If depending on the interest of council, we would like to work with the administration to see if there are ways to adequately address those and preserve the public trust. So I don't know if there's any comments or questions from other council members. Be interested to hear.
Stefan, I'll also just mention that in addition to what you described in the model ordinance, it also kind of puts consultants and contractors of the town also into that same category of employees.
Well, I think that the existing pay-to-play ordinance that relates directly to public contracting, which was approved through referendum in 2009, I believe, addresses all public contracts that exceed $17,000. So that is already well established.
But it also, the model ordinance also has some very specific language as it relates to redevelopment zones.
Yes, yes. All right, well, that's it.
So what's next with this, Stefan?
Well, I would like to put forth the redevelopment play-to-play ordinance for the council's consideration for introduction at the next meeting, and see if there's interest in moving it forward. With that, I would call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Good night.
Good night. God bless you all.